Welcome back to another episode of the Downsizing Roadmap podcast with your hosts, Jody Rosko and Heather Fisher. We're talking about all things downsizing, from our own experiences with clients to guest experts. Let's make downsizing easier, one conversation at a time. Hey, how are you?
Good.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Downsizing Roadmap podcast. We're so happy to have you back. How are you doing today, Heather?
Pretty good. I'm excited. We've got some fun stuff to talk about.
We do.
Lots of good tips.
Yeah. I'm Jody Rosko.
I'm Heather Fisher.
And today we're talking about the 80-20 principle.
Yes.
Which I think is super great for mindset. I think if you really can get your mind wrapped around this, it really kind of can help you, weed out things pretty easily.
Yeah. It applies to so many things in life and science and everything, but let's talk today about how it can help with downsizing.
Right. So the Pareto principle, Pareto was Italian, and he kind of figured out this 80-20 principle, originally about kind of economics and stating that 80% of the outcome comes from 20% of the input. Like, for example, 20% of your workers do 80% of the work, right? Yes. And so that kind of can go through all phases of life, economics, finances, all of the things. And so did you know that 80% of the things in your house are likely only used 20% of the time?
That's crazy. But when you think about it, I mean, it makes sense. But
that's why we dust all that stuff that we don't touch.
Right. That's why we have basements and garages and sheds and attics, right?
Right.
Because how often do we go up there and touch that stuff?
And some of the stuff is used 0% of the time.
Right. So talking about Pareto and the 80-20 rule, I did a little research before today. Did you know it actually started with peas?
Peas like vegetables?
Yes, peas. So Pareto, not only being an Italian economist and very good at that, he was an avid gardener.
Okay.
So he first came across this concept in his garden and realized that 20% of his pea pods brought 80% of the peas.
Oh, okay.
And so he took that knowledge that he learned to work, and that's how he applied it to the economy of Italy. And we now have the 80-20 rule that we all talk about and hear about and have heard about, and it started in his garden. So little things make a big difference.
What I think is so interesting about that is that it applies to things over such a range, right? Like from actual vegetables to your economy, to your house. Like this principle just applies everywhere. Like it is, I think that's super interesting about it.
Yes. And I love how people can come up with these concepts and help us all.
Right. Yes. Right. So today we're going to talk about how we can use this principle of, maybe you're not using 80% of the stuff in your house very often or ever. And so how can we, use that for your mindset to let some things go possibly, right?
Yeah. Live on that 20% and not dust the 80%.
Just dust the stuff that we just aren't using or shove into the closet.
Right.
It's the shoving method, right?
Non-dusting.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it, so I'm just going to hide it, but it's still here.
Yes, for sure.
So we can maybe have, less clutter, a little less stress.
That study, did you hear about that? We talked about it a little bit. There's a new study out from Yale recently talking about science applying to downsizing and clutter in our lives, that 30% the clutter in your room can make you less productive just by existing, not only because it's there in your eyesight. Your brain is tired from it and has to process it every time you look around the room and every time you look up from what you're doing. Your brain is taking energy away from what you're doing, and you can be 30% less productive just by having a cluttered space.
Just being in a messy room.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But you think about that, it just bothers you kind of there in the background.
In the peripheral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you're feeling it, but also and I don't know the statistics, but there is a study about like if you stop working and then you start again, like it takes you another like 15 minutes to like get back into it.
Yes.
So it makes sense to me a little bit. Like if you're in a room, because what I'll do is I will like be doing my thing and then I'll look kind of, up as I'm thinking, and then I'll be, I need to put that away. That goes in the whatever. Well, I'm stopping my thought process about what I'm doing because I'm thinking about the stuff that's out there that I need to deal with that I'm not dealing with, right?
Yeah. I think we talk about things that feel, we're like clean out your junk drawer and downsize your things. And it feels like maybe unimportant is not the right word, but it feels like, oh, that's just stuff. But it's so literally freeing for your world and your life when you're not weighed down by those things. So I think it truly is science behind it that your life will be calmer and more productive and a sense of peace if you move into that 20% versus.
I mean, we definitely see that, don't we?
Yes.
We've talked about, I think we even said this last time, that when we ask people to clean up their house, to take pictures to sell it, or even just, downsizing those things, like they all say, why don't I live like this? This feels so much better. I didn't need all those things. Wish I did it sooner.
Yes.
All of that stuff. So, and when we're thinking about downsizing, I mean, we are going to have to let go of a lot of things because the square footage is very likely going to be less, right?
Yes.
Not always. I mean, sometimes we just need to right size our house. Maybe it's a 2-story and we need to go into a ranch or something like that. But most of the time, it's a smaller space. And to be honest, guys, we have seen people who don't do it and they kind of try to take all the things and they don't want to make those decisions and kind of just don't. And so they pack up all the stuff and they move into a smaller space, and then it turns into a place that you can hardly move around. We've had clients like that.
Had that and seen that, and it's not a peaceful way to live. They're shorting themselves of the benefits, the safety and the, less to maintain. They've just brought all of that. And now it's, trip hazards to step over, and you're still moving and shuffling and
not finding anything.
Not finding things. And so, really, if you can make that shift of mindset, it's so much better on the other side, living, a life free of way too much stuff.
Yeah. And I think sometimes just think about it as like a fresh start, right? Yeah. So you have a fresh palette and you're going to go to a different, floor plan, a different spaces in your house. And what can that look like? Right. Yeah. So, I think that's also part of the mindset of, if you might have needed it in this house, but you might not need it in the next one, right. Maybe it would be okay to let it go. So, we definitely don't want a downsizing, situation to happen where it's just little, you're living in a storage unit basically, right? It's yes. Like the boxes are everywhere and you don't have anywhere to put any more stuff. And we don't want you to get a storage unit, y'all. Please don't do that, because I think that's people fall into that trap where it's really just delayed decisions. They don't want to make the decision. You don't want to make the decision because it seems like it's hard. And so that decision gets delayed, but it's going to have to happen eventually, whether you do it or your kids. Please don't leave it to your kids. That's me. Don't do that.
I think we had someone in one of our classes once that a family member had passed and the family discovered they had 11 storage units.
Yes.
Do you remember
I
that?
do remember that.
The family had no idea, and don't do that.
Well, and then obviously they're not using that stuff. If the 80-20 principle, that's a 0. Like it's in a storage unit, they're not using it.
Yes.
And so, anyway, so let's talk a little bit about, I don't want you to think you have to get rid of 80% of your things right away. So don't take the 80-20 principle and go, oh my gosh, like she's crazy. How am I going to get rid of 80% of my things? Although I do think, if you look at that 80-20 principle, I do think you could get rid of 80% of your things and really not live a very different life. Like I think that that life since you're using 20% of the stuff 80% of the time, it wouldn't look super different if you got rid of most of the stuff. However, there are certain things that you use not very often, but are special to you for whatever reason. And that's okay. So we're not saying, oh my gosh, like right away, you have to get rid of 80% of your stuff. So don't freak out that we're telling you that. But I do think what you can do is, I think in the end, in downsizing, maybe we go for 50% or 60% to be able to live in a clean, fresh space, even in our own houses, you guys, because even our own houses are, even if you're staying where you're at, you can get rid of lots of things and have a fresher, cleaner space.
Yeah, I think everyone should go for it and start with, even 20% and live and be like, wow,
that feels good.
This feels good. And you'll be on board for getting that 50 or 60% because it does feel good to not be cleaning around it, sorting it, missing things that
you kind of have your own experience around that, right? Because you moved from a house that was bigger.
I went from a larger house and moved when I got married into my husband's home that was much smaller, and I felt like I got rid of probably half of my house. I don't know, just didn't need it, and different phases in life. And confession, I do have some of my stuff in a storage unit as we were transitioning to different houses, and to be honest, it's there longer than I thought because we haven't moved yet, and I don't miss it. I'm not even sure
you're going to want it.
I mean, it felt important. It felt like these things can't go on the donation pile. I've already given so much. And so I kept what I kept. And, some of it I will love to unpack again and use when I'm in that next space. But some of it, I have no idea. And sometimes when I've gone to get something I need, I can see all the things that I don't want it. So just waiting to unload it all and I'll get rid of another big chunk. And it's a good experience because I know what people are going through. You moved from your house not too long ago too, from, a house you'd been in a long time.
I did.
It is kind of refreshing when you can.
Yeah. And honestly, I didn't let go of enough stuff. Either I thought I had time, because that's what you think. And then all of a sudden, like it's happening and you start packing boxes and put them. My son packed a bunch of boxes from his room that he thought he wanted. And then they were in his new room for like 6 months. He didn't open them. And I kept saying, you gotta open those boxes and unpack, honey. And one day I went up to his room and they were gone. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you unpacked the boxes, but nope. He just moved them down to the basement so he didn't have to look at them anymore. And so they sit there right now. And I literally probably should just not even open them. Like clearly he hasn't looked at them in a couple years now. And I think that's what happens. We put things like out of our mind, out of our, so that stuff in the storage unit has been out of your sight and out of your mind for a long time. Yeah. I also, long ago when I was in my 20s, I moved from San Diego to here. That costs a lot of money, like to, move things across the country, like you pay by the pound, right? And so I packed all these things that I thought that I was going to want. And when I came, I moved in with my mom for a little while. So same as you, like it kind of out of sight, out of mind for a little while. And then when I finally got my first place here and I opened all that stuff, I didn't want any of that stuff.
You just wanted your money back.
I wanted my money back because I didn't want 20s. That stuff. I was like, why did I bring this and why did I bring this? And so, we talk to people about moving all the time because we're real estate agents. Obviously, we talk to them about what that is, and letting go of things. When you're getting your house ready to sell it, you need to kind of clear off all the things. And I'm like, don't pack those. Like, get rid of them if you think that you're gonna not want them. But I definitely, when they're moving across country or anywhere where they're paying so much money to move, it's like,
and the energy spend, you're picking it up, you're looking at it, you're delaying the decision, or whatever you're doing that's making you put it in the box instead of the trash can. Well, then it's in that box. That box needs carried. That box needs unpacked. That
Right.
box, you have to mentally think, where in my new place am I going to put this? Money for sure, but energy spend.
Yeah.
Where way back when, first time you pick it up, donation pile.
Just make the
sell
decision.
it, trash, whatever.
Right.
Done.
Just make the decision.
Yeah.
When the first time you pick it up, just make the decision.
Yeah.
And I do understand that after there is a decision fatigue. So you can, if you spend too many hours in a day doing it, it's like, do you need this gum wrapper? And you're like, yep,
Yes.
I do.
Yes, I do.
Totally.
It's my favorite gum wrapper.
Because you just can't get rid of one more thing. And so I think that's why this can be a little bit of a process, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And also I think it's like you need to kind of create a habit around it. So where you do a little bit every day. And so you can kind of get yourself in the habit of doing that. And then even after you move, if you continue to do that, then you'll always live in a clean space. Because what we do is we bring in a bunch of stuff and
don't put anything out.
Don't let anything go out.
Yes.
That's right.
Should we talk a little bit about some ways to apply the 80-20 rule to some areas of the house?
Yeah, I think first of all, you could do a really quick like a quick 100. We're going to call it a quick 100. Yeah. Where you take 10 or 20 minutes, like right in the beginning of when you get started on doing this, you take 10 or 20 minutes and you find 100 things in the house that you can just get rid of right this minute.
Yes.
Right?
I did this with my kids.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
So, that's what it was. Just if I was frustrated and the things that pile up, as we were a young family at that point, and you have school papers and, party favors from birthday parties and just a lot of stuff that are easy decisions that end up in the corners, the cabinets, the countertops, all of that. And, we talked last time, if the average home has 300,000 items, finding 100 really quick can make you feel really good and motivated.
Yeah.
And it's really easy.
Right. Think about that. I mean, if you 300,000 items, you can find 100.
Yeah.
And that could be, you were saying, like, even if they had like 10 pieces of paper, like that's 10 things, right?
Yes. I was not strict. It was just like, let's do this quick. Let's put on music. Let's do this, whether it's trash or donation or whatever. You can really quickly just get your energy level changed around it instead of making a project out of planning the project, I would say.
Well, and thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to take me hours and hours to do. I think you can make a visual difference quickly.
Make a quick win so that it doesn't feel quite so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then tackle things in chunks. You talk in our downsizing class, don't spread your chaos.
Right.
So you can speak on that.
Yeah. So when you're doing an area, you want to just keep it in that area, because what will happen is you'll be like, oh, this belongs in this other room. And then you get to the other room and then you mess around in there and then you mess around somewhere else. And now the whole house is a disaster and you don't want to do that. You want to kind of stay in your one place.
You'll defeat yourself.
Right.
Because you don't see progress or a win. Just do small areas. If it's a bigger project or has a quick time frame, we'll get some professionals to move it quick. But
right.
If you're doing it, on your own, put some parameters, time that you're going to spend in a day on it, or a space that you're going to complete, or, a number of things you're going to move out of the house. Give yourself a benchmark that you can meet and accomplish and check the box. I did that. Tomorrow, I'll check another box, small chunks instead of a big, I should downsize my house. How do you even
that feels totally overwhelming.
That's overwhelming.
Totally overwhelming.
Yeah.
So let's talk about our closet. So clothes closet. Let's just kind of give you some ideas and tips about what to do in some different areas of your house and how the 80-20 rule can apply there. So I think the 80-20 rule is pretty obvious in our closet, right? We're not washing 100% of our clothes every week, right?
No. the same things every week.
Every
We're
week.
always doing laundry,
Right.
all of us.
But we're all washing that
it's the
same things.
thing. And we're always doing laundry because we want those same things clean again.
Right, because we're over it. We don't like the other stuff that's hanging there. I'm not wearing any of that, right?
Right.
So
want the same
Your-
favorite pair of jeans,
Right.
and favorite sweater. I want it to hurry up and get back
clean again, so I can wear it again.
Yeah.
So I think that in your closet, you actually could really get rid of 80% of your clothes. So things that you want to think about when you're letting go of your clothes, right? So you want to take everything out of the closet. I know this sounds like, oh my gosh, that sounds like a lot. And you could do your closet in chunks if you need to. Like if that feels too big, you could do, sections or whatever, and then do your dresser or whatever. But take it out, take it all out, because things look different than they look inside a closet. And once you take it out, you look at it and you go, I haven't even seen that in like 3 years. I didn't even know that was in there. And so once you do that, take it out, and then you really honestly, you need to try it all on. So I do this with my son once a year because he's growing and it makes him so angry. But I say, I'm not going to buy anything new because I don't even know what you have. So once I know what you have, I will buy you new stuff, but you need to prove to me that none of these clothes fit you anymore, or, they're not right for whatever reason. So he changes all, puts all of his different clothes on, and we need to do that too. And when you put those clothes on, if it doesn't feel good to you, put it right to the donation, because you aren't going to wear it again. If it makes you feel frumpy, or if it doesn't fit quite right or whatever, don't, just because you spent money on it and you think, oh gosh, I should wear it. Like, it's okay. It was a mistake. Let it go.
I think we've all experienced this, but you have that new shirt that still has tags on it, and you bought it for whatever reason, and you have it. But if it's been weeks and you haven't been excited enough to wear it, you're never going to.
You aren't. And I have stuff like I will put on, like I'll look at it and I'm like, I haven't worn this in a while, and I put it on, and then I'm like, oh, that's right, because it's a little like whatever it is, it doesn't fit quite right. Don't put it back on the hanger. It is going in. And that's the other thing. I keep a little bag in my closet that is a donation bag. So as the day, if you can do it, slowly too, like I put that on, I don't like it, it's going in the donation. But if you're really going to do it, put it all out on the bed or whatever. Try it all on. If it doesn't feel good, let it go. If it has holes, obviously that means you loved it, but it's also time for it to go, looking a little ratty. Yeah. If it doesn't fit you at your current weight, then I think that's a lot of things people will keep, like, until I get skinnier, I'm going to wear this or, whatnot. So honestly, I feel like if you get skinnier, you're going to want all new clothes for your amazing new body.
And you deserve them.
Right. So keep the things that are in the laundry all the time. Really be brutal with the rest of it. There are going to be things like dressier clothes that you don't wear very often. Then that's, I think, that 20%, 20% that you only wear every once in a while.
I think in different phases of life too, on that topic, that there are different times. If you're in your professional career, you have a lot of dressier work clothes, or if it's a time in life where you're just doing different things, you might have a lot of one thing, dresses or suits or whatever. And if that phase of life has changed, I think that the 80-20 rule applies, that you don't need to keep 100% for the times you might need a dressier dress again. If you're doing something less than you did in a different phase, keep one or two, keep, a couple options. We all need that, and know that you have those random options for things in your closet, but you don't need your whole work wardrobe if you've retired or you've changed to a job that is a different phase, and you're wearing a uniform, or you're wearing casual clothes or different things. You don't need to keep it all. So I think people hang on to
too much of it.
Too much, like, oh, I might need a dress for when I go to a wedding. Okay, we'll keep two or three. You don't need 20 options.
Right.
And,
You know what else grows in the closet? T-shirts. I think T-shirts grow, and, you'll have we'll go to houses and there's like 50 T-shirts. It's like, okay, you don't, that's, 2 months of t-shirts before you do laundry. If you think about that, like maybe you need 10, give yourself a number that's like, okay,
That works for your life.
Right.
Yeah.
But like maybe it's 10 t-shirts is the max, and what are my favorite 10, and the rest of them can go, or whatever that looks like.
Yes.
So ask yourself some questions. Obviously, does it feel good on you? When was the last time you wore it? Would you buy it again? That's a good question. When you put it on, if I was at the store, would I be like, oh, I'm so excited, I want to buy this? So that's that's often a no right there. So, so those are, so keep, create piles of keep, donate. Maybe you could sell it. I mean, if you spent a lot of money on clothes, like obviously clothes don't keep their value for the most part, but if they were designer or you spent a lot of money on there are definitely options, resale stores, and selling them online that you could do. Or some of them are trash because you've loved it and worn it so much it's got holes in it.
Stains, the tears, things like that.
You can also create yourself a little capsule wardrobe where you focus on versatile things that all kind of go together. There's people who really get crazy and have like, very limited, like they have like 10 things that they wear every, change it by quarter.
Yes.
You could really get crazy and do that if you wanted to. You could also do rotational seasonal stuff so that you don't have everything in your closet all the time. Because what happens is you end up leafing through all the clothes, and that just takes mental back to that, not being able to use your energy properly.
And back to that decision fatigue. We only have the capacity for so many decisions during the day. So if you're starting your day with all those decisions on what to wear, you're using up.
You're right.
That you could use
on t-shirts
for
that you don't love.
Which one of the 20 similar sweaters, are you going to wear? So make it easy.
And then once you've done it, there's a couple of tactics you can use. So you can put everything on the hangers. You can turn the hangers around, so that when you wear something, you take the hanger off. I actually put all my hangers in one section of my closet because I don't like the hangers hanging in between my clothes. And so
same.
That bugs me. So you can put your hangers, take and then turn it around. When you've washed it the next time, you put the hanger in normally. So 6 months from now, when this season is over, you can see absolutely what you wore or what you didn't wear for this season, and everything that you didn't wear, you're probably not going to wear next year if you didn't even wear it this year. So everything that's on a backwards hanger can go.
Yeah. I, about a year or two ago, I changed out all of my mixture of hangers from all the sources to, just uniform, all the same hangers. So I ordered however many in the pack, and that's how many I have. So that's been really helpful because, it was when I started, it was a few extra, just that's how, it worked out, and I filled those. And now if I bring something new in, like I don't have any hangers and I don't want the ones that don't match. So something has to go to make room for the new items. So
I love that.
That's another way you can get down. Once you've done it, don't let the creep set back in where you fill it back up again quickly. Once you determine this is a good place for me to have this much and it fits my needs, give yourself a few extra hangers, but not more than 5, 10 maybe, and don't let it just fill right back up. It happens quickly.
It does. And I think it's because it's, again, all in, none out.
Yeah.
Right? So you go to the store, you bought a couple, cute little tops, and you just put them in the closet, and you don't take anything out. So and you
probably went to the store because you think, I had nothing to wear to that party or event, even though you have a full closet.
And it's obviously stuff that you aren't loving.
Right, because you went to the...
And if you actually can walk into your closet and know that everything in there fits you properly, everything in there is something that you feels good when you put it on, everything in there is something that you love to wear, it's so much easier to make those decisions, to get dressed, and it's more fun.
Yeah.
It's more fun. Okay.
It's the frustration out.
Those are our closet ideas. The garage.
We love the garage.
Where everything goes to die.
Yes.
Seinfeld has the funniest skit about stuff, and when he talks about the garage, he says the garage is probably another word for garbage.
Yes, the best video to watch for sure.
He says if you're living in the same room as the trash can, it's not long
You're
for
probably not coming back in the house.
So lots of things that you can downsize easily in the garage, but tools, like, are you actually using them?
I personally am not.
Yeah. I use some.
Yes.
But also, again, the more stuff that you have, the harder it is to look through it and find it. So, like, I will not be able to find a screwdriver when I want to, even though there's stuff out there, because if it's not organized, it's just kind of out there, and you have too many things that you don't use, then you're searching through those things. So there's often duplicates of things. Do you need 3 or 4 chainsaws? Do you need just one chainsaw? Do you need any chainsaws? Do you need somebody to just do that for you these days, and you don't even need it? Yes. Right. So so kind of those kind of things. There's often broken things in the garage when we kind of see as we look in people's garage. I don't know, things just kind of get shoved out there.
I think in the garage that there's garage things that logically should be in anyone's garage, if that's the place for your tools or your lawn care items, kind of similar, the shed and all of that. Those garage things, you need to downsize, the duplicates, the everything else. But I think what we see is that the garage is also a whole lot of stuff that should have never been chosen, to go in the garage. It's just because
it's a shoving place.
It's a storage. It's I don't know what to do with this, so I'll put it in the corner of the garage.
Right.
So I think that is the easiest starting place.
Yeah, pick your 100 from the garage.
If it's living out there, it's not even in the warm, clean house. It's in the dust of a garage, the, cobwebs, the half in, half out. If it's made it out there just as I don't know what else to do with it, those are probably easy things to get rid of.
Yeah.
And then you have space to look at the things that should be in your garage, your car.
Yes. Hey, y'all, your car should be in your garage.
But, around the peripheral of the garage, you can organize and downsize the garage things.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
So there's usually you need to kind of put them in categories. And if they're all over the place and not already in categories, you want to put them into categories, put all the tools in one place, put all the sports equipment in one place, put all of if you have to store things in your garage, put that storage bins or something in one place, and then pick, you can do through that, because the kids will end up with, balls and this and that all over. And if you really ask them, that one's flat, but it's not, and it won't hold its whatever. And that one, but they don't throw away. My kids don't throw away the things either, right? Why is it still here? If it doesn't work, throw it away. But
and if they don't have a place that makes sense, the kids or us, for the things, there's not a place that makes sense. You don't realize that you have 5 soccer balls.
Right. If you put them all together, you'll realize you have.
Yep.
You had the old one that was old, so you bought a new one, but you never got rid of the old one.
Yeah.
5 times. So that's good. Frequently used items, put those where you can easily use them. Again, same thing with tools. Once you put them all together, you'll find that you might have 27 screwdrivers, right? And you don't need 27 screwdrivers. You need, 1 or 2, a couple sizes, you just need a few of those. 1 hammer, right?
Yeah, things you borrowed from other people because you couldn't find your tool. Send those back.
And some of the tools you can rent easily. So if it's something that you don't use all the time, but something that you think you might want to use every once in a while, you can rent tools.
Yeah.
So let some of that stuff go if it's in that 20% that we use rarely.
Yeah.
But you still think you might need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can organize that. You can put in, some pegboards or, do something to organize your tools. I would really, really look through the stuff that you're storing out there too and decide if that's actually something you need. Are you storing it in the garage because there is no other storage in the house and so it needs to be stored in there? Yeah. Or are you storing it there because you just don't think you need it or what to do with it and it's time for it to go?
Yeah. Or you do have storage space, but you have so much stuff.
Yeah.
That you
Yeah. Don't buy more bins to organize it. Let's just let it go. No more bins. So, basement and the attic are kind of similar to the garage, I think. I feel like they are, often a lot of holiday decorations. Sometimes a lot of sentimental stuff gets stuffed there because you feel guilty that you would get rid of it because somebody gave it to you or it was grandma's, but you don't really want to display it. And it kind of ends up in a box in the garage or the attic.
We've met a lot of clients and people in our classes that they have had someone in their life that has passed away or moved to, senior living community or something. And they have use the word inherited, but they've gained someone else's household of stuff. And
yes.
I feel like the basement and the attic is where those boxes get put. And it's a mixture. There may be that 20% that are family items or sentimental items that you do want to keep in your family, and that's okay. You don't need to get rid of all the stuff, but I feel like we meet a lot of people that just took 100% and moved it from someone's full house.
Yeah.
And said, oh, that's mom's.
It goes in the basement.
And it's hard to circle back and go through it, but if you can, you can clear up a lot of stuff.
And if it's something you love and it's sentimental, then you should be displaying it. And if it's a box in the basement, how important is it really? And because again, we have that conversation where not everything can be special, right? Yeah. So you just want to take the stuff that is special. I think down there, if you put things in a box and you mark the date on the box, after you've looked at it, but you mark the date on the box, and if you haven't needed to go down in there in a year and open that box and get something out of that box, that box can go a year later. Just don't even open it again. You've already looked in it. It's not $100,000 accidentally in there. It's not anything you need to look through again because you already looked through it once. And you couldn't make the decision that day for whatever reason, but the fact that you haven't needed it in a year after you've looked through it, it can go.
Yeah. I think it back again to that phase of life, like with clothing, that the basement or the attic or things may be the storage spot for hobbies you no longer do.
Yeah.
All of the stuff that goes along with that. Or maybe at one time your house was where everybody came for parties or holidays, and you have all the party trays and serving and the extra crock pots and all of that. And if you're still doing those things, then you're using it. Keep it, use it. But if life has changed and whatever it is, keep the memory of when you used to do whatever, but you don't need the whole hobby, the whole collection, the servingware for 20 people, if that's not what you're doing anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Kitchens. Kitchens are the same thing as kind of tools. They're food tools, right? Yeah. But basically, you're going to end up, once you start going through your kitchen and putting like things together, you're going to find out you might have, 12 spatulas, or you might have, something that you just continue to buy. And so you're going to pick your favorite one or two, and the rest of those are going to go. If you have dishes for, 12 or 15, 16 people, and there's two of you, you don't need that. Maybe you need dishes for 6 if somebody's going to come over, but you don't need, you want a few so you can put them in the dirty, dishwasher and whatever. But, just think logically about how many do you read? I mean, mugs, people collect mugs, and, you just use that favorite one or two.
Yes.
Right.
I think I'm guilty of collecting the gimmicky stuff too, the Instapot and
the latest.
Pots and
Did you have a Fry Daddy too when it was big in the day?
I don't have that anymore, but I did. Or you get gifts people give you. I think we have a quesadilla maker and all
panini,
the things, and the things that you can make with your basics. Mm-hmm. So I think that would be the thing I could get rid of.
I used to
my
watch that
Instapot.
Alton Brown. Do you remember Alton Brown? He was a guy that cooked on TV, and he would say, "I'm never buying a tool that's a single tasking tool in the kitchen. Like I want something that's always a multitasking tool. So you can buy, the avocado thing that makes the avocado come out, but you could also use a spoon.
Yeah.
Like
A butter knife to scoop it out, whatever. Yes.
Yeah. So make sure that those things are, multifunction and that you use them. Ask yourself, have you used that in the last 6 months? Just be honest about what that is. I will say in my kitchen, my friend came over during COVID and wanted to clean the kitchen because she'd already cleaned out her whole house. And we had like 13 boxes of stuff that we ended up out of my kitchen. And I can't tell you a single thing that was in one of those boxes. I haven't missed anything out of it. I literally can't tell you what it was.
Yeah.
So we put it in cupboards and we just close the doors and we don't see. And same with, food. There's probably expired food, even if you think you're right on top of it. I'm sure there's expired food. Go through the pantry.
Yes.
Make a box for the food bank if there's things that you have bought but you aren't going to use, that are still, not expired.
Yeah. Your spices are definitely expired.
Your spices are fully expired. That is so true.
Definitely.
That is so true.
Yes.
And then bathroom, same thing. Pull everything, in all places, whether it's the kitchen drawers, whether it's the cabinets, whether it's the bathrooms, pull everything out, go through it. Oh my gosh, my mom got, so many lotions and potions and all of the things. She just always loved that. And you'll find a new one and you won't throw out the old one. And so there you are, with drawers full of things that you aren't using. Yes. And expired medicine. Make sure you dispose of that properly. You can put that in a baggie and take it to the police or the fire if you need to, but make sure you don't flush that. But
I'm a sucker for the cleaning product aisle.
Yeah, you love cleaning products.
The latest and greatest, whatever it tells me it's gonna do. I, end up with an assortment of spray bottles of different things, and you really don't need.
Need it all. Yeah. So again, just think about, what is your skincare regime, and whatever you're doing now, all the rest of it can go because you clearly let that go and didn't like it anymore. Yeah. Right. And so, same with the bathroom. So, I think the 80-20 rule, really, if you get your mind wrapped around what that looks like, it can really help you, realize how much of stuff that we have in our house that we don't use. Yeah. And it will make you feel so much better when you let it go. I promise you guys, just let it go. It feels better.
Absolutely. And you don't have that clutter on your brain and in your house.
Yeah.
Anymore.
It just feels like it's heavy. Stuff is heavy. I say that. I mean, it's physically, we were doing a downsizing class. And when I always say stuff is heavy, I mean, it's like emotionally heavy. Somebody's like, yeah, it's hard to move it. It's heavy, which it also is. So it's heavy physically and heavy emotionally, but it really is heavy emotionally. And if you're in your bathroom and you're digging through the drawer, trying to find the right thing through all the stuff, that is stressful actually. And all the little stressors add up in your day, and they're totally unnecessary stressors, So
I'm inspired.
Yeah, I know. I'm literally like, I need to go do a quick 100 when I go home. Just do a really quick 100. Yes. So, challenge you to pick one room, or even a drawer or your closet or whatever, and go do that today. Do a quick 100, get some motivation, and then see what you can do to.
I think as we go on, we'll definitely be touching on the harder topics. But right now, if you're getting started, you're thinking about this, whether you're thinking about moving or not, this will make your day better to tackle one small project. Your junk drawer, a quick 100, your closet, take, a bag or two to a donation. It's just lifting.
Yep. It feels good.
Yeah.
It does feel good.
Yeah.
Any other last things about the 80-20 rule? Well, I'm sure we'll be talking about it again because it's something that we use all the time. But it will make you feel lighter and freer when you let everything go. So, if you guys all have questions about any of that, please send them to us. We'll answer them on future podcasts. So let us know what questions you have about the 80-20 rule.
I love the closing quote you picked. It's another Joshua Becker quote. I love him.
He's so great.
But he says, owning less is better than organizing more.
I love that.
Back to, don't take all the stuff you have that you shouldn't and buy more bins. Don't do that.
Don't buy more bins. Don't buy more bins.
Own less. It'll be much easier.
Yeah. What are we talking about next time?
So next time, stay tuned. We're going to talk about why is a downsizing move different than other moves. So we're real estate agents and we help people move all the time. We're just going to talk about why it's
a little extra.
And all of the pieces, the resources that you can plug in that you might need to make it easier.
Yeah.
So
there are definitely people out there that you wouldn't even think of that could help you.
That you don't know you need.
Right. You don't even know you don't know.
Yeah. So we're going to just kind of talk about all of those people. And if you have any questions or you need more resources, as always, our website is www.downsizingroadmap.com.
Yeah.
And so next time.
Good. Hope we inspired you a little bit with the 80-20 rule today.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks for joining us on the Downsizing Roadmap podcast. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who might need a little downsizing inspiration. Have questions or ideas for future episodes? Reach out to us on our website, www.downsizingroadmap.com. Until next time, let's keep simplifying and moving forward.